I've hit record. I've remembered to do that. Okay. So, expanding your network. Now, one of the first things he starts with is slow and steady is not how you're going to win the race. When I spoke to Katie earlier, she mentioned about this, and I thought, oh yeah, no, slow and steady, build consistently, you do this, you do that, you do the other. But I'll talk about the numbers and things and his systems and the reasons why slow and steady doesn't win you the race. And I hadn't thought of it that way until I'd watched it back again, which shows that you don't take everything in the first time you listen to it. So you need to keep going back to these things because they're so important. But basically, how would you feel about recruiting 20 new people into your team over the next 30 days? So I've got, down the right-hand side are his sort of drawings that he makes throughout his training, and down the left-hand side are my notes that I've made on that and what I'm going to talk about. Now, here he talks about recruiting 20 people, and these are some of the benefits that it will give you. Obviously, we don't get commission from signing people up, but in terms of everything else that's on there, we get bonuses such as free leads from the Leads to Success campaign that's running. It is only running till June, but it's so successful that I think they will bring it back in the future, and they do run it as often as they can, as often as the leads are available. You get your extra commission and your volume bonuses as your team are growing. Okay, you've got your incentives, your holidays, your cars, your cash, all the other littler incentives they put on during the year, like the Leads to Success and other bits and pieces that they trial and they run throughout the year as well, or in short blocks of time. Obviously, you get your recognition from the company. The guys who were with us at the showcase a few weeks ago, you saw how big recognition is. You go up on that stage, you get your medals, you've got thousands of people clapping for you. I can't imagine anything better. I'm so excited to get up there myself. And as you move up the pay plan, that only gets bigger and bigger. You get people starting to recognise you at conferences, wanting to come over and say hello. You meet all the big wigs, all the people at the top. And obviously with all this comes your personal development as you start to grow as a leader. So really it's about considering what are these worth to you. Obviously you've got, and then the one I missed out actually is time and financial freedom. So what would time freedom mean to you and the people in your life? And what would financial freedom mean to you and the people in your life? Because provided you work this business, and especially if you work this system like you've never worked as hard in your life before, it will give you that. So you've got to decide whether or not it's worth it. And I know it is. I'm going to give it a go because I know it's worth it. I know that not watching Love Island for the next 30 days, even though it finishes before that anyway, I know that not watching Love Island for the next 30 days and giving up a few other things along the way and working my backside off will get me where I want to be. And it's you've got to decide whether it's worth it for you. But 110% it is. Guaranteed. Okay, so this is where the slow and steady doesn't win the race. He talks about success loves speed. So basically, you've got your 30 days down the left-hand side. These here is if you do it in 30 days, as opposed to the red numbers, where you do it in 30 months. So your recruits are the 20 people you sign in. Okay, from that, 12 of them are going to do something. These are the numbers that Eric Worre has tried and tested and that work. And this is where this whole idea comes from, is that from the 20 people, you'll get around 12 who'll do something. You'll get 8 that just don't do it, that never do anything with it. Might last a week, put a set of catalogues out, make a group online, but never actually post anything in it. Within 90 days, you'll have 8 key people who will still be working, still be cracking on. They might have got they might have done the welcome rewards and got the 10%. They might have got the 13%. They might be consistent. And then after a year, you'll have about 4 people left. 4 people who will, and then one of those people in the brackets there, the one of those people will probably be the majority of your group sales. So you'll have one who will be the majority, 3 others who will be doing something. They'll be getting on consistently, month in, month out. You can guarantee they'll do about the same figure or more if they're pushing for more. And after around 5 years, you'll have 2 that will be your main leaders, basically. 2 people who will be growing their own teams successfully to people who will be leading those teams so that you can take a sort of step back and concentrate on building your business a bit more. And then if you're going to do 1 a month, so that's where the 20 months comes from, you've got your 20 recruits and around 8 of them will do something. So already you're shortening your chances by 4 people by only recruiting 1 a month and not going for all of them in a month. From that, the 18, 90 days will drop to 4 in 90 days over 20 months. And it'll be rare that you'll have one that's still around after a year. Now, I didn't understand where this came from until he talked about what the note that I've made over on the left is that occasional sign-up. So occasionally when you bring distributors into the business, if they are the occasional, so one every so often rather than 1, 2 or 3 a week, they feel, he described it as feeling like orphans. So you introduce them to the team, you get them into the Facebook group, they're the only one that's new, they don't really like it because they don't really know what they're doing, so they don't want to ask questions because they don't want to seem silly. They feel a little bit like an outsider because they're coming into something new and all these people have already got like established relationships and they don't know where they fit in. And I remember going to my first meeting, like to the first meeting that me and my mum went to when my mum joined, and feeling a little bit like the outsiders because everybody knew everybody. And I remember thinking, oh, this, I don't know anyone, I don't know anybody's names, how am I going to get to know all these people? And then we met another couple who just joined the business at the same time, and we're like, oh, we're the newbies, we can stick together, and we're still really good friends now. And that's the point that he's making, is that the more people you can get signed in on a regular basis and get them speaking to each other as well as interacting with the rest of the team, the more they feel like they're part of a revolution, the more they feel like they're getting involved with something that a lot of other people want to be involved in, and they're not the only newbie, so they don't feel as bad about asking questions or just getting interacting in general, because they aren't alone. Even though they're not alone because they're coming into a team, because it's a team that they don't know, they won't feel as stable as they would if they've got somebody else alongside them. It's the mentality that we have with our friend. Oh, I'll do it if you do it. You wouldn't do it on your own. You wouldn't put yourself out there on your own, or you wouldn't like to put yourself out there on your own. But if you've got somebody alongside you who's in the same position, you'd be much more willing to do it. And that's where this comes from. And that's why the numbers tend to stick better if there's more coming in a shorter time frame. If you've got more distributors coming in a shorter time frame, basically. Okay, so looking at the maths here for your 20 people. So that's 20% out of 100, really. So to get 20 people to join, you probably have to do around 100 presentations. So that means going through the online slides, going through the 10 steps online slides with around 100 people in 30 days. Now that's not that many, that's 3 a day. That's an hour of your time, an hour and a half maximum, if you waffle like I do sometimes. To do that, you probably have to book around 125 appointments, because you will give somebody a call that morning to go through the slides with them, and they just won't answer the phone because they've decided that they couldn't tell you that they weren't interested, so they've let it get this far and then they've just decided they'll ignore you. From that, you can't really see it on the whiteboard, unfortunately, but you do have to make around 300 calls to get around 125 appointments. Now, that's still only 10 calls a day. That's not that many. Again, it takes you about an hour to do 10 calls, to have a quick chat with them. Just say, have you watched the videos? Perfect. Are you interested? Excellent. Right, let me make an appointment to speak to you. And then the list is your 500 people who you're planning on speaking to. So 500 people, and about 300 of those you'll turn into phone calls, because initially you'll speak to some people who won't be interested, but the majority, over half, will, basically, is what he's saying. So that's, once you build up momentum, what he's saying is, as you can see, the red numbers that are over the top, if you're being consistent and persistent with these numbers, that will reduce. So you can see that your 20% will go up, of people will join, will go up to around 30 to 40%. So provided you're being consistent and persistent, and what he talks about is focusing on doing the activity in, day out, and not focusing on the results that you're getting, it will come, basically, and then those numbers will only get better and better and better. I think a lot of people, and I know I'm guilty of it at times, I won't post anything for a few, like, for example, the weekend I was at Robin Wood, I had no Wi-Fi whatsoever. The Wi-Fi was so poor. I was in the middle of a castle where the walls were 5 feet thick for a start, in the middle of Todmorden up on a big hill. So I had no Wi-Fi, very little 3G. Couldn't post all weekend. And then I got back on Monday and I thought, not done anything all weekend. Had a great weekend off, I thought, I'll just post one thing today instead of 3. And I posted one thing and I got nothing. And then I thought, I'll just post in some of my local groups and not all of them. And I posted in about 20 instead of about 40 and got nothing. And I thought, doesn't work this. I've not done anything. It's just not got me anything. However, before that, when I was posting in my group 3 times a day, posting in external group, 40 external groups a day, and recruiting in 20 to 30 other selling groups once a day, I'd got leads coming in regularly and sales coming in regularly. But if you try something once and it doesn't work, a lot of people just go, well, it doesn't work. But it only works as you build up that consistency and you be persistent with it and focus on the activity and not the results. Okay, so the 30 days, he splits up into 3 blocks of 10 days. So your first 10 days basically will be contacting your people, inviting them to look at the opportunity and presenting the opportunity to them. In your second 10 days, you will be continuing that with prospects. But for a lot of people who maybe have wanted to think about it or have got some objections or they want some other exposures, which I'll talk about in just a second, that'll take about another 10 days to just follow up with those people. And then the third one, again, like I say, you'll be mopping up the people you've spoken to. You might have a few more that you've got in contact with that still want to look, that you're showing the business to, etc. But the majority of people by your third lot of 10 days, you'll just be sort of closing off and getting them signed in. Like I say, overcoming any objections and giving them the exposures that they've asked for. Basically, I'll come to exposures in a second, but in your first 10 days, it's 100% effort all of the time. Where it says full-time 16 and part-time 8, if you are doing this business full-time, Eric Worre worked 16-hour days to get this right. So he started at 8 in the morning and he finished at midnight. And when he at part-time, he did it around 8 hours because originally he started around his job. So he worked around 8 hours around his shift work that he had basically. And what he said was when he was at work, it was things like his time when he was driving to and from work, he'd have his phone on speakerphone and he'd be talking to people over the phone while he was driving. On his breaks, on his lunches, he'd be meeting people for coffees in his lunch breaks. Meeting people in his lunch breaks and presenting to them then. Evenings and weekends, any pockets of time is what we call it in the business. Every opportunity you can to get a pocket of time in. And the phone will become your best friend. He said you never realise how awful your phone battery is until you do something like this where you're on it constantly. He said he likes to pace, and basically said it's not easy to pace when you've got your iPhone plugged into the wall and you can only go that far with your pacing because it's on charge. There's lots of tools you can use. Obviously with the Zoom, which you can do like this. I would recommend strongly, however you do it, that you use the 10 steps presentation slides, which I'll make sure I bump the link up to on the Team Believe group, because they get everything that the prospect needs to know across as a diagram or as text in front of them on the screen and in the script that we use within 10 to 15 minutes, which is great. I mean, my mum will vouch for the old presentations. We never used to have anything online. We had a book. And you used to go and you used to have to go and see the prospects. And we've driven up to 2 hours sometimes to go and see some prospects. And you used to flick through the book and you used to show them and you used to get bits of paper out and you used to put bits of paper back and you used to do this and that and the other. And that took a couple of hours, obviously, plus your driving time. Then when we moved to online for the first few months, the original script was around an hour long to go through. And it was like War and Peace. So to be able to do it in 15 minutes now, I get a half an hour break at work. I've done appointments on my breaks at work. I've had some of my colleagues, I mean, she's not signed up, unfortunately, but she sat there and watched me go through a presentation in front of her while she's been eating a dinner with me and gone, wow, that sounds amazing. I want a piece of that. She's not, like I say, she's not signed up, unfortunately. She's gone on to something else now, which is a shame. But you can do this in pockets of time, and it's easier than ever to do it now. So you could do it. You could bring them onto one of our webinars. You could bring them on. You could talk to them on Skype. You could talk to them on Zoom. You can meet with them, and go through it face to face. Get them to live events, to meetings. Usually, when you take guests to a lot of meetings, if there's any in your area, and I can find out for you if you are interested which ones run in your areas. They're free if you're taking guests, so they don't even have to pay. There's a small charge for you, and they don't even have to pay, which is perfect. So use as many of those tools as possible to show people the business in that first 10 days. Eric Worre doesn't talk about advertising. He talks about approaching existing people that you already know, which is why I'm going to share with you the Eric Worre memory jogger, and I've also found in paper copy, so I know I've got it on my computer somewhere, a slightly shorter version of a memory jogger which Rob Forster gave to us when he used to run his Sheffield meetings as well. So I'll make sure I either upload it or I will take pictures of it so you can see what I mean by a memory jogger later on. It's a separate training in itself, a memory jogger. So I'm going to talk to Mum, who can hear me now anyway because she's watching this, and see what she says about doing a training on memory joggers, because they're really, really beneficial. So in your second 10 days, you're following up to the people who you've spoken to so far by exposing them to the business gradually. So exposures can be things like following them up with another phone call. Eric Worre used to do a lot of three-way phone calls where he would get other distributors who were in the same position as they were. For example, if they were a single mum, he'd get one of his team who was a single mum on the phone to them and be in a call with them, and she could just have a chat to her about how the business works for her. Exposures are things like bringing them to meetings. Like I say, as guests, as guests, you can get into a lot of meetings for free. So you could bring somebody along who was interested. I've taken prospects to meetings before now, so that they can come along and just have a look. Introduce them to the top distributors. Get them onto any webinars that show you the ins and outs of the business, like what we call business opportunity meetings. So a lot of them are done online now, and I'm going to find out where is best as possible to get one of those, to get those as well. I know the 10 steps do them, so I'm going to find out from our Bolton meeting runner Carolyn, where I can get onto one of those as well. And you're basically answering any questions and objections that they have by giving them these exposures as well. So if, like I say, single mum had objections about how much time she was going to have, and she could speak to another single mum, that might reassure her that actually you do find the time and you can do it. Okay, your third 10. So finishing up with prospects and getting them into the business basically is the closing third of your 30 days. Now, there isn't any reason why this can't be done more continually. If you're finding this really beneficial and you are to your business and you are fitting it into those pockets of time and you can do this regularly, then keep going with it. Keep going with it. You can do it more than once. You might decide to finish it after this 30 days and then do another 30 days later in the year. But pick 30 days that are best for you. Don't go from tomorrow and then go on holiday for a week and not do anything. Do you know what I mean? You've got to really decide when is a good 30 days to be able to get this done. It might be when your partner's off work, so you've got more time and they can look after the kids, or you've not got one of the kids, something finishes for the summer, like a sport that you do finishes for the summer, so you'll have more time in one of the evenings a week. But basically what you've got to do is be sure of why you want to do this. You've got to be really, really, really sure, and go back to that first slide that I've shown you with how much things are worth to you, and really think about that. Okay, so the last bit, your preparation, it's 100% of effort from the word go, if not more than 100% of effort from the word go. You are going to need to make sacrifices in terms of your family time, in terms of time that you'll have to yourself, your free time in general, your skill development and reading personal development, basically through reading personal development books or listening to trainings or CDs, it is going to be the most successful part of your journey to success on this. So if you aren't doing that yet, I strongly recommend that you get involved somewhere with some form of personal development. I am more than happy if you want me to point you in the direction of any people who I think will be beneficial for you. Please just message me and I will point you in the direction of successful people that will be able to help you. Like I listen to loads of stuff on YouTube more than anything, and I'll just get YouTube up on my laptop and I'll do it while I'm making breakfast or while I'm doing something else in the background, or a lot of the time I've been planning over these last few weeks for school. In September I've had something on in the background, mainly because it keeps me going and stops me wanting to shoot somebody, because planning is not fun. But like it says there, you need to be committed. Your calendar needs to be cleared, because you will be busy. You're going to need to make some sacrifices. You might need to say to the kids, look, mummy's going to have a really, really, really busy next 30 days. I need you to help me. This is how you can help me. And get the kids maybe doing more stuff at home for you, or just to be a little more understanding that you're going to be busy. But you've got, if you've got what he talks about, if you've got an not unsupportive family, obviously, but if your family and your spouse maybe aren't as supportive, you can say to them, this is for our benefit. Let me give you 30 days to show you how I can make this work, and it'll benefit all of us. It'll be what's best for all of us. Eliminate any distractions. Like I say, I'm going to stop watching Love Island because I'm just addicted and it's no good. Your existing group, I'd love to, we aren't like this, I think, as a team belief. From what I've heard some horror stories about other teams in the business, we aren't like that. We are a unit. We work together, and I think we all click really well. But you do get sometimes some people who are cross-line to you and are a little bit jealous. Upline to you might be a little bit jealous because you think, oh, they're doing really well, and I'm further above them. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Or you've got your downline who don't want you to bring new people in, and they want your time and attention. And you will get people who will try and distract you. But like I say, I don't think that'd happen in our team at all. I think we're a really strong unit. Fresh list, memory jogger. Like I say, I will get that out to you all. And sharpen your skills, personal development. There's lots of books. I'm reading one at the minute by Les Giblin called The Art of Dealing with People, and there's also Skill with People by him as well. They're about that thin. They take about half an hour to read at the most, but they're really, really good. I'm going to end up finishing mine tonight. I think I've read a few pages tonight, but I'll probably finish it this evening. And I think that was everything fantastic that I needed to go through with you. Like I say, the memory jogger is another training in itself. So I will either cover that next week, or I'll get Mum to cover it on Thursday, depending on what she's got in mind. I will upload it to Facebook anyway. I will upload the Eric Worre webinar that's on YouTube, and I'll get this video uploaded and Mum's from last week. So there's lots of homework for you to be getting on with, girls. But this will be probably, if you do it and you do it right and you do it to the letter, this will probably be one of the most beneficial things you will ever do with your business. I can guarantee that. Because it works, because Eric Worre has done it himself. He can tell you about the numbers. He's run it that many times. He knows the system backwards, and he's got so many people in his team that have done it as well, which is why he's a millionaire at the end of the day. So I'm going to come off now because I've literally got 4 minutes. So if you've got any questions, message me on Team Believe, or message me privately. If you don't want to say it in front of everybody else, that's absolutely fine. But please don't suffer in silence. Please let me or my mum or Mary know, or whoever's your upline for that matter know. And we can answer your questions. And please, if you have got any questions after that, make sure that you ask me. Okay, guys. I'm going to let you all go because I've rambled a little bit. But I think it's been really beneficial. I know I'm just so excited to give it a go. And anybody that wants to give it a go with me, I know I'm going to be doing it. And I think my mum will get on board with me as well, because we support each other and we're a unit in ourselves. So if you want to be in on the action, let me know and we will do this together and we will smash it, guys. All right? See you all soon. Love you lots.